It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
One of my favorite things to do around the holidays is to make sugar cookies. And I'm not the greatest at doing the flooding frosting and decorating them that way, but I discovered a few years ago that you can actually paint on your sugar cookies with your food coloring just like you would with watercolor. So in this video, I want to show you how I do that. First, I'll start off by showing you the supplies that you need. I have already baked and frosted my sugar cookies, and I'll link to the recipe that I use below. I like this one because the sugar cookies don't spread that much and they hold their shape really well. And then I used a royal icing recipe that dries and hardens so that you can paint on top of them. So you'll want to have your cookies ready and prepared, and then you'll need a palette, and I'm just using a kitchen plate. You'll need food coloring, and the one you want to use is gel food coloring. So you can buy these gel food colorings at your local craft store or order them online. The brand that I have is Wilton. The colors that I am using are Christmas red, brown, and leaf green. And I'll just mix these together to make a few different colors of green, some darker green, and some darker red. I'm going to use pure lemon extract to dilute my colors. You can also use vodka, I've heard, but I don't have any of that. So I'll use the lemon extract. And then you'll need a glass of clean water and then just some toothpicks to get your gel coloring out of the containers and mix it on your plate. Once you have all these supplies ready to go, we're ready to paint our sugar cookies. Now I'm ready to prep my food coloring. So I'll first start with my red. Start with that much. We might need more. Okay, next is my brown food coloring. I'll put that right here on the plate. We're going to use the brown for pine cones and the stems, so I don't think we need a whole ton of it. And now our green. Okay, now I'll take the pure lemon extract and I'm just going to put some drops by each of these piles. That was a lot, but here's some here. I'll keep this on hand for when I need more. Okay, then I'm just going to mix some puddles here. Okay, and our food coloring is ready to go. So I want to show you the patterns that I'm planning on painting on these cookies now. I have these Christmas elements here that I've been practicing, and I for sure want to paint this wreath, which is super simple. And I think I'll do some berries and holly leaves, but I'll make them in a small pattern. And then my last one, my last cookie, I will be doing some pine cones and pine needles and some red berries. So that's the plan. If you need help learning how to paint these, I have another video that I'll link to below that shows how I paint these. They're super simple and they should be simple enough to paint on these cookies. And I think I forgot to mention, I have these brushes that I bought that are just brushes that I use to paint on sugar cookies, and I don't use them for anything else. I think I just bought them at the craft store when I purchased my food coloring as well. Just find some inexpensive brushes to use for just painting on sugar cookies. I think I'll start with my size 4, and I'll grab my cookie here and pick up some of my brown just very lightly, and I'm going to kind of trace around the cookie where I want to make this wreath. just really lightly. Okay, so that gives me a little guide. I think one color I want to add to here is yellow, so I can make a lighter green. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead. I do have water here that I'm rinsing my brush off on, and I want to make a light green color. I'm taking some yellow. I'm going to grab a bit of red because it's the opposite color of green and it will darken it up or kind of gray it down. More yellow. Just keep mixing until you find the color you're looking for. I think I'm just going to go with that. So now I'm going to start on my cookie, creating this wreath, and I'm just going to make these little brush strokes, these little marks with my brush, alternating on each side of this brown circle that I've made. You just want to press your brush down. It'll just give you a perfect little leaf shape and go all the way around your wreath. Okay, just keep going until you meet up back at the start right here. And that's cute as it is, but we're going to add a darker green to it and then add some red berries. So for my darker green, I'm adding green, some red, more green. It's making a very dark forest green color. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing, just press my brush down between those leaves that I've already created. This is the darker green, so it should show up really well. Press your brush down like we did in between all those other light green leaves. Okay, we've gone all the way around the circle again, and here's how our wreath is looking now. The last thing I want to do is just add some red berries to it. So I'll pick up my red, put some more liquid. I'm just going to go around our wreath and draw in some little circles for the red berries. Leave a little white spot for a highlight. I'll layer some on top of the leaves. Okay, just look around and see if you've got enough berries on there. Add a little one right here. Maybe one more right here. Okay, and that's it. That is all there is to it. I think they turn out really good in the end, and it looks like it took you a long time, but they're actually super simple and don't take much time at all. So let's move on to our next cookie. Okay, I think I'll do the hollies and the berries on this one. I'm just going to do this in all over pattern and keep them really small. I'll start with my berries. Up my red. I'll just do clusters of 3. And try to leave some highlights again. Last one. About here. Okay, now for the holly leaves, we are going to use that same green, the darker green here. And I'm just going to draw these little holly leaves with points. I'll just do 2 points on each side and meet up at the tip. And I'll do the same 2 leaves on each of these berry clusters. And I'll make all these going in different directions. I'll hold this up so I can get a closer look. Just draw in that little holly leaf, fill it in. Okay, then just look at your cookie, see if there's spots that need to be filled in. I think this one needs one more leaf coming off right here. Maybe one more little guy here. So here's how it looks in the end. Cute little cookie with some holly berries and leaves on it. Okay, let's move on to cookie number 3. For this cookie, I'm going to paint 2 pine cones and some pine needles on stems here, and then we'll paint some red berries around them. I want 2 shades of brown. To get a lighter shade of brown, I think I'll add some yellow. And I just stick my brush down and make these little strokes. I do have a tutorial on these pine cones. I'm just going to kind of feed through these. I feel like you have to work a little bit quick with this stuff. Okay, and I'm just getting wider at the base. There's one pine cone, and I'll put one right next to it, maybe a little bit taller. And kind of run into each other here. Then I'll take my darker brown and just kind of dot this in underneath those other strokes to give it some shadowy areas. Okay, so I think that's it for my pine cones. Leave them just like that. Now I'll start with the stem. For the pine needles, I'll do one going this way, one going that way, and one coming out this way. I'm going to pick up my green, and I do want to add a little brown to it. Darken that up. And just with the tip of my brush, I'm going to make these little pine needles, a little bit more water coming off of these stems. Super simple, just like that. Do the same with the other 2. Okay, that's my lighter green. Now I want a darker green. I'm going to add a lot of brown. Add its complementary color red. Get a really dark green here. Just go on top of those other pine needles in this darker green. Let's add some red berries. Just choose a few spots like here. Use some. I'm just going to paint in 3 red berries. So over here. Okay, that's all there is to that one. Here's how this one turned out. Pine cones and berries and pine needles. I really like this one. I think it's super cute. Okay, so we're all finished and we've got our cookies here. There's our little wreath cookie. And then we've got our little holly leaves and berries. And our last one, we have our little pine cone with berries and pine needles. These cookies are really fun to do. And they turn out really impressive, I think, in the end. If you took these to a party or to a neighbor for a gift, I think they'd be really excited to receive them. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you give it a try. I will link to the recipes that I use below for these cookies and frosting. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. Happy holidays!
But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own